right, we're live. How are you guys? How good's that? Little. None of us have COVID. And someone's knocking at the door. Who is that? Get the fuck out of here. Hey guys, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Good. Hey, speak nice and close to this guy. I know that there's three between two, so we're gonna have to talk right up and close. It's difficult without all the headphones and shit, so you can't really tell if you're speaking into it proper. But boom,
Right in the middle.
right
here.
right up the guts.
Yeah.
Right down the throat of it, yeah.
See ya.
Right on the tip.
Oh, see you, Joel.
See you, lads.
So
Thank you for
now that we've been live for the last 37 seconds of absolute piffle,
And Jill's still ruining it.
how the fuck is Bloods?
Good, I think.
We're
Yeah,
good. We're really good. We just had a bunch of fun playing some tunes for you guys.
Yeah,
It was so great to have you on.
Yeah.
How's it feel to play a show of sorts? Is it weird? Is it okay? Is it strange? Is it horrible?
It's been a while. So I think it's so fun.
How
but-
long? How long? But
Well, we were trying to figure it out, but I can't really remember if we may have not played a show this year. So it's kind of weird but it felt so natural. It's like, oh my God, I'm setting up at a drum kit again. This is
Yeah.
like, it's really happening.
Yeah.
It felt so good.
Have you guys been playing instruments individually during COVID, or is it kind of one of those things you grew up playing and you're like, you know what? I don't need to pick up my fucking guitar right now. I've got fucking, children. I've got work. I've got like a global pandemic. Fuck you, Gibson SG.
Got Netflix to watch.
So much Netflix.
Yeah.
many
some
things.
playing. Well, we've been recording. Like we've been recording a Not Bloods thing over the last
Not Bloods?
two
What's
weeks,
that?
2 weeks?
Bloods but not Bloods, you three? Or
We're doing an indolent side project.
we all,
This
we
is
all
the
have
ultimate
one.
indulgence, by the way.
This is exactly what this is.
Sweet.
You guys get it.
We make these and we do this on the
sing.
side.
This is
We think we've got more.
100%
People understand we got more to say.
Yeah, so we've been doing that, but that meant that we got to play together, and go into a recording studio and everything, which was cool. Like maybe 2 weeks ago we did that, right?
It had been a hot minute since
It had
we'd
been a hot
done
minute.
anything because
Did you miss each other? Is there like a I don't know, is there a familial?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Kidding. I miss these
Yeah.
guys so much.
I'm only here for the burgers and the beers.
The last thing we did was we did go on an American tour together. So by the time we got back, we were pretty ready not to see each other for a little,
Yeah.
just a
Yeah.
little
It wasn't
while.
even that long. It was like, that's how
Yeah.
weak
It's like
we
a
are.
2 3 week tour or something.
Is that when you recorded the latest album as well, or is it a
Yeah,
separate?
that was it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's so great as well, by the way. There's so much
thank
energy
you.
to it. And I know this is a tired and cliched kind of comparison, so forgive me for doing it, but there's a reason that cliches fucking exist. And
Yeah, of course.
it's because, but it really brought me back to my childhood, which is I'm really fond of my childhood in parts. So it's a really powerful thing when you get shot back into exactly so I'll tell you where I was where your music catapulted me. I was wearing kitten heels,
Yes,
jumping
you were.
fences in Singleton, New South Wales, with fingernail polish and eye makeup on, and wearing girls what do you call them, camise, no, well, I don't know if it's a bra.
Camisole?
It was kind of it was really tightly fitted. I don't want to say negligee because it wasn't a nighttime thing, but anyway, it was all from Big W. And I was 17 years old and I was working at McDonald's and I hated my fucking life in this fucking mining town where I just got called every
love to
fucking
see you in the
homophobic
drive-thru
epithet
like that.
under the sun. And that's not actually who I was either. So it was a really confusing time. But at the same time, I had this kind of punk pop fucking soundtrack to my life, and so you guys really, listening to it the last couple of weeks, really shot me back to this period of such identification with me.
That's
And
awesome.
it is,
so
and it was
cool.
something I was really not expecting at all to kind of get. And I don't know. That's more of a comment than a question, but But I really
It's a
Compliment.
cliche.
It's a compliment.
But I suppose let me ask a question out of it. So that style of music, this genre, obviously, you guys have grown up with it as well.
Yeah.
I feel like we're all kind of similar ages. What is the power of it? Where did it come from? What's the energy that keeps driving you back to it?
Not growing up, I guess. Peaked at 16, did not grow up. I think it's just the kind of music we like. Particularly for me, it's the kind of music I still listen to. Like, I grew up in the suburbs in Sydney.
Whereabouts?
In Riverwood.
Okay.
Yeah, very multicultural area, but like always kind of felt like a fish out of water, felt misunderstood, and music was my haven, so I listened to like Nirvana, and for me it was all like Bikini Kill, Sleater Kinney. I loved Veruca Salt so much. So, those bands kind of, that was my reality. What I was living wasn't my reality, that music was. So I think like I'd played in so many different bands, but when we started Bloods, it felt really pure because we kind of explored. I think if you kind of go through our back catalogue as well, we've explored so many different sides of like pop punk. Yeah. And it's been a real kind of natural evolution to where we've ended up. And I think it's just like we just have fun with it, and it's what comes out.
It's crazy that like I think about that time when listening to a record was about what a community amounted to, or buying. I read recently like Q magazine in the UK is shutting down after like 34 years, and it's like, or reading about your favorite bands, or reading about new, just done, effectively.
But you can't imagine the readership's the fucking thing that's gone though.
But like to think of, it went from like 200,000 a month or something, or a week or whatever it's peaked, to like 20,000. Like,
it's like who's buying a magazine now?
Yeah,
like, I mean, I love them.
But surely,
I was so into them.
But that was, but a successful crossover, like with a brand value like that, surely it's not difficult to create a fucking platform that can generate money.
Rolling Stone here, you know what I mean? It's
back
like these
now.
brands it's coming back, but and Hugh might be resurrected, but that was in that time. That was the community sort of like reading about the bands, or just listening to that record and feeling that you belonged. And now it's different because you can there's communities and everything, like it's whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, watching YouTube videos of fans reviewing the album and telling you what it means to them, and you can have like start talking with them or messaging them from the other side of the world. Like it's I suppose when we were growing up, it's you've kind of felt alone but found, like lost but found, just listening to your favorite records.
It's like a mad little secret. Like you kind of feel like part of a club, you discover a record, listen to it cover to cover.
Yeah.
And then read the lyrics, read the liner notes. Like.
And when you would go to, if you were lucky enough that these bands came anywhere near you, and then you'd go and see them, and then you started seeing people walking into the venue, like, oh, it's my fucking people. They're they're dressed like me. They're like, they're drinking the same things, wearing the same things.
That's the best part. Like, I loved seeing the bands, but so much of it was about meeting people at the shows. Like,
yeah, fuck, so great.
Do you guys notice that in your crowds when you play like the different ages of the people, like the younger fans, the people who are more your age, just being able to look and go, future me. Like I see them, the little freaks running around Newtown, and they're like the little 16, 17-year-old freaks, and it's just like, you little fucking beasts, wherever you come from. And they're in their little packs, and they're wearing their fucking hilarious clothes, and they're like, they're just so desperate to fucking be them, and it's so fucking awesome. I love it so much. But I'm like, yeah, you're my people. I fucking love you. I was never a goth, but I see like a 16-year-old goth come past. I'm like, oh, I just want to fucking cheer you on through life. I wish I could just like, watch out, world. They're fucking coming for you. They're coming for you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. But do you get to see that?
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real age range for us. So it's kind of like we do get, older people but also like kids, and it's wild. Like, just seeing people and thinking, oh God, I remember being exactly like that.
Yeah.
And going to shows and trying to go up and talk to the bands and all of that. And it feels like a long time ago.
When you become the band, right?
Yeah.
And when you played your shows in the States, was the crowd similar? It's still like our people, or was it like, oh, these are kind of different people, but obviously they have a connection to your music? But was it different in any way?
I think it's cool because it's always a different crowd. Like, it's always different. It depends who you're playing with and where you play. But it's funny because we played, the EP's called Seattle, but we got to play a few shows while we were there, and we got to play there the last time we were in Seattle, which was when we kind of met the people who actually put our music out. And it's like that city in particular, I feel like embodies like the kind of audience that we play to.
It's a bit of a dream come true moment when you start your band. You're like, I don't care if 10 people turn up. We're playing a fucking show in Seattle.
Yeah, it's so
we're
cool.
pretty
First
fucking
time,
happy.
I remember when we first played in Seattle in 2015, and it was like, I remember being on stage. It was a sold out show. Like, it wasn't our show, but we were, playing.
It was our show.
It was. By the end of it,
was our show.
I think the crowd agreed that it was our show. Anyway, and just looking out and going, oh my god, this is Seattle. This is actually Seattle.
Yeah.
And like, it just blew my mind. I couldn't even.
We had a moment like this in this room, sitting on the shitty old couch over here. Marco Pierre White came and partied with us in this room. This used to be the old fucking pisser for the old boys' toilet.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And I'll loop back to the fact that there used to be a World of the Lansdowne, very much a world before we were involved. And loop back here, but yeah, we've like Marco Pierre White, for people who don't know, is just like, do you guys know who Marco Pierre White is? It's like, yeah, chef, like fucking hero chef, like the original fucking bad boy, like rock and roll, just like had hair like this, super skinny, gaunt, amazing cheekbones, cooked like 24 hours a day. Like you throw people fucking out for asking the wrong questions around the menu. Like was in the hoity-toity part of London, but would just to fucking throw people out in the late 80s. Like,
but his thing
you're
was
rude to my stuff. Get the fuck
he
out
had like
of here.
3 Michelin stars by the time he was like 27, and then he gave them all back because he was like, you people know less than me. How dare you judge me?
Yeah.
It was like the most rock and roll thing that
so
like it's what chefs like. Just it's what they strive for, and he got it, and just went, you know what? Have it back. It means nothing. And it was like,
And now he sells stock cubes. Yeah. Love you, Marco! But we had this fucking night here talking about like fucking pinch yourself
best.
moments. He's like,
I need a
what the
chef
fuck
jacket
are we
on."
talking about? Like, Marco Pierre White's the reason I mean, like there's, at Mary's Newtown, our first joint, there's a fucking picture of Marco behind the bar. Because we were just like, we need to hold ourselves to account somehow. And his visage might help. But those moments are like, you grow up your whole life kind of going, I'll never touch this. And then you touch it and you go, oh, fuck, it's real life.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing. Like, I think when you're actually there doing it, it's like, oh yeah, like, okay, this is a thing. Like, it's not this magical thing that you can't reach. It's something that's real. And
Well, your
like,
dreams
it's
came
attainable.
true as well, but it's also, there's an element where it feels kind of non-dream-like.
We had one moment, I think, as a band where we've had like a full-on like ridiculous moment, because when we started the band, we called it Bloods. Bad idea. If you ever have any aspirations to tour America, terrible fucking idea. But we never even.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah.
We didn't ever think that we would play anywhere other than like some, maybe
Search
get
some
like
Bloods on YouTube. It's a fucking fun little game.
Jesus.
You really got to put the band in after. The Bloods band is really important.
What's weird is searching it on fucking Spotify.
Yeah.
Like you get like all sorts of weird like
Yeah, there's some other like hip hop crew that like haven't released anything in about 10 years or something.
Yeah.
But they've dominated.
Just because they're still getting like 80,000 like listens a week.
We sometimes get messages from people who are like,
ages. Yeah.
like
I
just
was gonna
weird
say that-
symbols and like what's
Yeah,
my
like-
blood?
Yeah,
or
like teenagers thinking that we're the gang, and they'll
Yeah.
send us pics of
How do I
themselves.
join?
Really? That's
It's
the
like-
best.
all the time.
I
So
wanna hear
many.
stories
So
about
many.
this.
We should start a gallery. We should start an Instagram.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
fucking should, and you
How
should
do I
start by
join?
telling
Like,
us some stories
Send us
now.
your email address. Send us your email address. Follow us on Instagram. So like, you don't have to like jump me in. I'm like, nah.
No, but what I was trying to say before was like so we didn't ever think that we were going to do anything spectacular. I guess we just wanted to play music together.
Yeah.
We played instruments. We picked up instruments we didn't know how to play, and we taught ourselves how to play to write songs to be in this band. And then maybe like 3 years later, we were sitting in the same rehearsal room where we had our first rehearsal, like signing a publishing deal with Sub Pop.
That's so cool.
And we were like, we would make jokes about like, imagine one day we get to like somebody from Sub Pop here, because everyone
Yeah.
says that, right? Fucking if you've
Yeah.
ever liked rock music, Sub
Yeah.
Pop is that.
It's
And
the
when
one.
we were signing that deal, it was like one of those moments. We were like, what the fuck is life? Our band is called Bloods. This is ridiculous. Yeah.
Kenny and I have always been a big proponent of the idea that be very careful what you wish for and what you dream up.
Yeah.
Has it been the case for you guys at any point where you're like, yeah, I've dreamed about this my whole life, and it fucking is really different and kind of sucks in comparison. It's all well and good. Oh, one day I'll have 2 live music venues and 8 venues and interstate, and then you're like, I fucking want to stab my own eyes out most days. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've got 2 beautiful children and a strong wife. Fuck that. Like it's fucking hard, man. Like it's like life is more difficult. You gotta be careful what you've. Is it like? And so signing to Sub Pop, like writing, recording an album in Seattle. Has it been an element of that at all, or are you guys like just pinching yourself still?
I can't remember anything being that. Yeah, I mean, just being in a band in general's got tons of ups and downs, I think. But the Sub Pop bit's been nothing but fun, I think, because they've.
But you better fucking say that.
They carry such weight.
Sub Pop, fucking Sub Pop shill over here.
It was pretty sweet walking in. It was pretty sweet walking into the office for the first time, and they've still got the bit of plaster from the wall from the original office that Kurt Cobain signed, and they've got it framed and hanging on the fucking wall. And you just walk in and go, "Oh shit, yeah, that's right." Like every band back in the fucking day.
It carries so much weight.
And every time we go there, like when they were taking our photos there, they have like a whole photo booth for their artists and stuff. It's just like surreal to us because we're like, I grew up in Riverwood. I'm like a refugee from Panama.
Yeah.
Like this isn't a real thing that happens to people. That you dream of something and then like you're standing there and going, oh, okay, cool. I mean, it's not it might not be a huge dream for a lot of people, but for us as kids who grew up in the 90s,
how can you get bigger?
Started listening to that
in this genre. How can you get bigger?
I started listening to Shabazz Palaces purely from reading that Sub Pop had signed their first like hip hop act, and I'm like, they must be incredible. Like they must be, and they must be out there. They must be there. It's not going to be like your generic or whatever, like what was consuming the American charts at the time. And it's exactly what it is. If you said to you, Sub Pop's on a hip hop band, you hear Shabazz Palaces, you're like, yeah, that's what I think they would say. One thing from people who've done it, and especially to the sort of, we just mentioned the lofty heights of sitting in the Sub Pop office signing a deal. Did you find Seattle, like the people, the industry people, like the fans, whatever, like were they beautiful, music loving community, or was there any level of pretentiousness, sort of living on the past weight of its successes? Like, is it very much a hard crowd to win over, or do they support you when you're on stage? And like, how did it feel? Like, was it a welcoming thing, or a prove yourself or get the fuck out?
I think it's kind of halfway between Sydney and Melbourne. Like it's not like both audiences like.
And you by that you don't mean Canberra, right?
I don't mean Canberra.
Absolutely not.
No. I'm like, I don't know the New South Wales to Victoria geography well enough to make a joke there, so I won't.
Moving on.
Moving on. No, they're really cool. What we love about Seattle is like you meet people, like there's just space for fucking everything, and they're not pretentious. They're just like, if someone's an artist, they believe in themselves and they do their art, and it doesn't matter how fucking weird it is. They're proud of it, and there's like an audience for it, and it's so cool.
That's what you hope to hear. You never know that you just feel that some cities or venues is just like, do you know who's come through these fucking halls? And you're like, well, yeah.
That being said, there's a funny one when we played at a venue in San Diego, and while we were playing, some guy called out, "Do you know that Nirvana played here?" Mid-set.
Yeah. No.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he called out. And
was that like a diss to us?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe it was actually.
You
guys aren't Nirvana.
all I knew about the obviously I'm not from here, and is like what I mainly knew about the Lansdowne before we took it over, that it was famous for the fact that Nirvana were booked to play here,
never played here
because they got too big and went played to the Phoenix.
Let me say, when we were doing
this venue lives off the breath. Nirvana were on the booking sheet at one point.
I actually looked it up, and because that was on the one in 2015, and they didn't actually play at that room. It was like the venue had moved up the street, it didn't really count.
So Steve Steve Pavlovich, he was booking the venue and he bought them out. But by the time that he bought them out, never mind, it exploded and he had to move them from here to the Phoenix Club or the Phoenician, which is like fucking 650 meters up the road. Or it used to be. And now it's just a fucking, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is now.
I live above that.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Really? You're just going,
Yeah, and I often think that whenever I'm playing Nirvana, I'm like, they played literally on this site. That's so weird.
But I think the way it's been tied so deeply to it is because of Steve. And Pav's like a influence on the industry has been so deep and so wide for such a long period of time that, you know, there was always going to be that. I love the romanticism of it. I love the fact that he's like, no, I booked them here. I booked them in a 200-seat venue and I fucking packed out a 2,000-person venue or whatever the fuck it was, and it was spilling over. Like, that's a story about that you never get to fucking revisit. When was the last time we had Billie Eilish play the stage here?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like back in the day. But let me tell you, anyone else would go, oh, what a meteoric rise. Nope. She booked 3 months in advance on a fucking tour with a record label. And she was earmarked for success and groomed through, and it was. But like the reality is, she didn't go from fucking a 200-seat, like padded out, you know, record label crowd to that. Yeah. Over a 3-month period.
She was booked here because she was going to play Laneway the following year. It was like a press.
And she played
industry thing to showcase, and then she was coming back in February for Laneway. Like it was.
So you don't like, and she like we can all agree she's been an a symbol of an explosive figure, right? Not even fucking close. Doesn't touch the fucking sides of what Nirvana did. I don't remember it. I remember it in the sense that I remember where I was when I saw Unplugged in New York. I remember where I was when I heard Smells Like Teen Spirit for the first time. Like in Tasmania and Rugby, watching a fucking tiny little screen on ABC, Rage, and watched the video. The video. That was the first time I heard the music, but. No, understand. Like for that to happen outside of the internet, you kind of start kind of going, oh, okay, this is a cultural force of the likes of which we kind of musically haven't seen. I don't think since.
I kind of feel like that's why it still stands. You know, like all that stuff we were talking about it earlier, and it's like all that stuff from like kind of that up to the mid '90s. There was just a kind of explosion of shit that happened, and And there was no internet. There was no kind of hype machine in the way that there is now. There was you couldn't see through it. It was just like you'd hear a song and you'd go, "Oh my god, that's unbelievable."
I don't know if I agree with that. There was a hype machine. Like Michael Jackson existed. Like we'd been through the fucking bad
for
years.
Rock music, like
but even like Guns N' Roses, like
actually that's a good point.
I'm not trying to shit on what you're saying for any other reason other than trying to like just point out how incredibly. Like, in comparison to today, you're fucking spot on. There's no mechanism that exists. But the difference between what had been happening and the difference between how we experience life now, I don't know. Like, I think the Nirvana thing is something, you're right, like, in the sense like it's still powerful because it was literally, it shook the foundations of the way music was able to be done.
It was,
and you guys are a part of that now.
But it was,
you fucking are though. It was like we literally got onto this subject.
Jesus Christ, anyone get a word in? Come on. It was like,
he hates like when we saw the Sub Pop label, like the logo on our record. Like, it was like, oh my god, that's on the back of Nevermind. Like, even though that it was a license.
But there was a global. Like, it was a global thing. Like for their music. It's like we talk about things like. You know, Oasis were a thing for the working class people. Like Arctic Monkeys were like a poetic sort of like great lyricists for a youth in a smaller region. But Nirvana were like was a global because the youth were not being heard up until that point. It was still like everyone was like
reaction, right?
it was like just coming out of that like shut up and be quiet. Like they took over and every youth who'd felt. Like for any reason unheard, just grabbed hold of it, and it's and like the thing, be careful what you dream for, because obviously it was overwhelming for the three people that had to be viewed as the figure points and the sort of poster people. For
one of them so much that he formed Foo Fighters. I fucking love Dave Grohl, probably the greatest rock and roll drummer to arguably ever to exist. But fuck you, buddy.
It's
the Foo
like
Fighters really? Come on, like
It's
first
one
two
of the
records,
four-
I'm in your fucking corner, but fuck you from there.
one of the only rules in Mary's with music, because everyone always thinks Mary's is like this heavy metal place. We're like, no, it's not. It got a version of that when other people sort of were running it and in charge of music and whatever. It sort of got known for that with the Slayer font and whatever. But we just used to play. We were hungover on a Tuesday. We were playing the National, like whatever we want to listen to, like Rivers Wainwright, like whatever. It's but one of the rules is just we don't play Foo Fighters.
100%.
The line in the sand.
No. And you know what? If I walked in and like, Hey Johnny Park was playing, I'd be like, from Colour and Shape, I'd be like this. I'm there with
Wrench?
you.
You're
I'm
down
okay with
with-
Monkey
down
Wrench.
with Monkey
You know,
Wrench.
like an amazing, I think
Hero?
a great song.
Hero?
I'm less about Hero.
Okay.
I find Hero troublesome.
Everlong.
Everlong.
I
Yeah.
hate Everlong.
How can you hate Everlong?
Don't like
You
it because
clearly
it's-
don't have a
because-
heart.
What's that?
You do not have a heart, sir.
I don't,
You hate
like,
Forrest Gump as well.
yeah.
You hipster fuck.
I don't like Everlong. I just
Everyone
feel
likes
that-
Hero.
I feel
It's a
like-
love letter to his fucking best
Yeah,
friend.
but I don't. But when I'm ranking the songs on that record, they're like fucking 7 and 8.
No, not at all.
Like,
I do not agree.
that all the times that
Oh, I
we
hate
share.
all those
That
popular
song, like the intro, Hey Doll, whatever it is, that rocks me. I fucking love that shit. Like what's that? What's that one? Do 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 do. Monkey Wrench.
Yeah, that's
That's one. Yeah. That's great. My
Was
hero.
that their
I'm just
first
like.
single? That was their first single.
Off that record.
Yeah,
was
and he
that, yeah.
spits in the fucking like the wall, like the little wall-eye
Yeah,
camera thing.
yeah.
But like when you got to My Hero and Everlong, I was just like, I don't know. Like I felt like it was just on the path to where we end up with eventually. It's it's gateway
first
songs.
stop.
They're gateway songs for them to go. We got a sing along hit, and now we're gonna fucking plug it and play stadiums for the rest of our lives. With Taylor Hawkins pretending like he's a fucking animal from the Muppets.
Well, you know,
Another great drummer, but fuck.
You know, Everlong was written about Louise from Veruca Salt. So
No.
I've got an extra little special spot in my heart for that song.
yeah.
Yeah.
See, my brother fucking wanted me to sing it at his fucking wedding to a woman that he's now divorced from. I just have no care for it in the world. Music,
Did
it's
you sing it?
individual, right?
Did you sing it at the wedding?
No, fuck off.
Well, maybe if you did, they'd still be together.
I could not even tell you the song I sang at their wedding.
What song was
No,
that?
I'm not going to tell you. It's so embarrassing.
One that Jake wanted to sing.
Hang on, can we guess? Can we guess?
Okay, what song did Jake sing at Josh's wedding?
Another One Bites the Dust.
No.
Something by G.G. Allen.
Might as well have been.
Was it My Neck, My Back by Keisha or whatever?
I just
Next!
I want to put out there whatever it is. I've never heard of it because it's
You'll
that bad.
fucking all night and you'll all just go like this. I hate you so much. Okay, so it was. I don't know the name of the
say it.
song.
Say it. Don't say it. Maybe say it right at the
I can
end.
sing it.
Say it right there.
Wait.
Don't sing it.
All right, at the end. I'll sing it at the end. So
Say it right at the end.
yeah.
It's like a great comedian who we'll loop it back and finish with something
Yeah,
of
100%.
context.
It's like a great comedian, but it's just me singing a weird song at the end of a fucking
We'll leave
podcast.
and hit the stop record button.
Yeah, exactly. While everyone's gone. So I'm interested in kind of specifically from UMC. One thing that I like, I look at the music industry. I'm a new visitor to the music industry. Kenny and I both are, and we come from a place of like we're a venue,
music fans,
and we've been music fans our whole lives, but we're a music venue, right? But when we look from the outside in, we see there's two major forces. There's bands, and then there's kind of record labels.
Yeah.
And you represent both.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested to fucking know whether it gives you a bit of perspective and softens your perspective and gives you a bit of like, oh yeah, I can see it from both sides, or it makes you doubly fucking pissed off at both.
You know what? I think it depends.
Remember, you can edit whatever you want.
All right.
Yeah. You can edit whatever you want. So, and you can even edit this 100%.
Should we give context? Like, it's up to you if you want to name the label, but you are
You're an A&R.
in the music industry. Yeah.
Look,
and you've been there for 10 years?
10 years, yeah.
The same amount of time you've been in bands.
I've been in bands since I was a kid. But yeah, pretty much
ish.
Okay. Yeah. Look, I'm fortunate because I work for an indie label.
What side are you talking about? You're talking specifically music industry, right?
I'm talking about the music industry. Artists I can understand. We're all the same kind of crazy, I think. And I think that makes me good at my job because I understand the sensitivities around people's like creative projects. It's so personal. It's an extension of who they are. And I think, being in a band has made me better at my job because I can appreciate the artist and the process and understand what they go through and the different fits you have about certain things and kind of when that cools down and when to reapproach things and how far to push and all of that. But I think being in the music industry when you're a musician, 100% kills the shine a little bit that you had before you worked in music because it becomes your life. It's like, it's like if your hobby was cooking and you became a chef and then you got home, you can't be fucked cooking, right?
It's not quite our lives, but it's pretty close.
I can't lie. Like that is so true. And especially, as you get older and like.
But what happened, especially when you can't choose to not go home and cook because you've got fucking children.
Exactly, you have to cook.
Like when you have to bring your work home with you, like, when all of a sudden you're reading through a fucking deal and you're like, they're trying to fuck me and my band. Because you know the way they're going to fuck you. But, I'm being serious because I think this is I know that there's going to be a few people who run through life like this in the sense that they're in bands and they also work in the music industry. But I think A&R specifically is so tied
to the artist.
That like I'm watching the artist get fucked. Like, let's speak frankly about the way that if we can talk in stereotypes or generalities, I get the differentials between where you're at with, an indie label is less likely to fuck an artist or a band than a major.
Yeah.
But still there's this kind of trade-off, there's this uneasy kind of place and
Look, I think the thing is like being an art like the artist that people aspire to be, like being someone who is in the general like consciousness, who people identify, like can recognize. Those artists have to work so fucking hard and it can be a really rude shock to young, sensitive, creative people when they're like, I want to be like Kurt Cobain, and the people in charge of trying to get that dream to become a reality are saying to that person, you want to be Kurt Cobain? Cool. We're going to need 2 albums in the next 2 years. You're going to have to tour for 8 months overseas. You're going to have to do 6 months worth of interviews. Like, it's fucking grueling. It's a lot of work. Yeah. So I think therein is the dilemma. And I think a lot of the time, like, it is a really kind of out of date thing, like the record industry, particularly with independent record labels, because nobody's making money. I don't really fucking know how they can function because nobody makes money.
Capitalism, y'all.
Nobody
or propping up some other fucking crooked element of society.
Yeah, but it is a pretty old-timey view, when bands like the record label, because it's like, well, a lot of the time, like the people at the record label really fucking believe in you, and when you tell them, hey man, I want to be like the Arctic Monkeys, they take that seriously and they want to make that happen for you. And, and that can fall either way. It's the careful what you wish for. And it is, and, I've seen it so many times, like artists, young bands in particular, they're shit hot. And then people start to get excited and everybody wants them. And then it's like, I actually do not want to do this. I don't want to be away from my girlfriend for 8 months in the year. Yeah. And I don't want to have to do rehearsals 3 times a week. It's not
brutal.
Fun. It's brutal.
We were here
really
with brutal. I was going to ask that version of like the label will always get made out to be the monster, but I'm sure in men there's a lot of stories of the band sort of the reason why the House of Cards falls apart. And it's when when I think we spoke about this the other week, but brief story, when Idols had played here and they were just sort of kicking
so
off.
cool.
They were sort of
Great band.
beautiful
So good.
boys.
Bit preachy now.
Beautiful boys, and they were
Chill out, boys.
made the same joke.
Same joke last week. Not a joke, comment.
But the
People laughed.
We had a conversation with the guitarist, Northern Irish fella, beautiful man, dentist. Had just had a child like about 3 months prior. But the record was just kicking off. So they're like, you got to go around the world now. And it's like, and I'm just like, fuck, how heartbreaking. And it's like, yeah, it's like, and no one understands. Everyone's in your face going, how good is it? You must like living your dream. It's like, no, I'm just heartbroken every day. Like I've got a 2-month-old daughter at home and I don't get to see her for like, and then I think I'm going home and then they might just say, sales are picking up in fucking whatever, California. You're going to California next week. And it's like, you just never know when it's going to start. And it's, and relationships break down and all these, like, it's a brutal life, and it's a real like narcissist. It's like whether it's narcissist or egotist that like really see it through because it's like this is the most important thing. Like I don't know. Like there's obviously beautiful people that make it, but balancing that life is be careful what you fucking wish for.
Totally. And it's not a reality a lot of the time too. So that can, that can lead to all sorts of shit. Like when you're living this altered reality of like get in a van, go to the show, adoring fans, go to sleep, get up at 6, go to the next place. You're always drinking. You're surrounded by people who love you.
It's so brutal.
When that ends, it's a really
What a come down.
It's a massive come down. And a lot of the time people come back to their real life and their girlfriend's broken up with them because she's like, fuck you, I never see you and you don't call me.
Yeah.
Like it's, And not
Which
to like
is very
dramatize
valid.
it. Like obviously being an artist, if that's all you dream about and you've got that in your sights and there's so many amazing moments, like you do live this kind of amazing life. But yeah, I think a lot of the time it's on both sides.
I'd love to see, and this would be an interesting research project that I'm pretty sure that I don't have time for, but it would be interesting to see if I could.
Indulgent side project.
Yeah, indulgent. Fuck. Yeah. Okay, my family. No. I love you.
Edit that out.
They don't watch this. They're not allowed. This isn't on their YouTube feed. I wish it was. It would like boost our viewership by 25%.
You need the numbers.
But like, it would be amazing to track. Something you said earlier is like, and it was kind of like, oh, do this, do that, deliver 2 albums. It'd be amazing to track the actual output and the demands on the band Nirvana.
Oh yeah, it would have
To
been
actually
fucking insane.
to actually track it and actually see how many shows they played, how many kilometers they traveled, via what transport, over a certain period of time, and then kind of making a fucking young band do it. Or any human. Just even, I reckon it would be a physical fucking challenge just to make someone actually do it, let alone without the pressure of, lenses that they're not ready for and like
100%,
scrutiny they're not ready. Just the actual physical
An
grueling.
emotional challenge. You think that when if you get locked up on your own for a week and people will talk to you about how dangerous that can be. I did a float tank once for an hour and they were like, they literally taught you about. No, I was fine, but they taught you about they could be people have emotional issues, and if you feel that you need to get out. It's 1 hour. Imagine like being removed from. It's the opposite side, just being like surrounded by people and in such little control of your life for years. Like it's the opposite version, but surely it's got the same outcome. Like it'll just emotionally just destroy you or mentally destroy you.
Massively, yeah.
I mean, look at poor Britney Spears, right?
Yeah,
Free
Free
Britney.
Britney. Yeah, I was reading about that this week.
For real,
It's gathering weight on media. I've seen a few things.
Right now, is this something I missed? What's Free Britney?
This is a whole movement. Free
Her,
Britney.
what's it you call it again? But the fact.
Conservator
Yeah,
or something.
You know how all of her financial and all of her business and personal financial rights were handed over to other people. Her lawyer and her father, both who have quit their role, weird, and there's someone else, her caregiver, who's now in that role, but it comes up for renewance every once in a while. So it's up for renewal in August. So there's a whole Free Britney, as in like the world and the industry and everyone around her has controlled her entire life. So now can we
literally
free
though,
Britney?
she can't get married. She can't drive a car. She
What?
Can't spend her money.
She can't control her money.
she
She
can't
can't
go
do
to the
anything.
shop,
She can't go to the
apparently.
shop without permission.
What? What are you talking about?
Yeah, because she had
she's
that
not allowed-
breakdown where she shaved her head, and it's like if I was being followed,
Is it traced
and
back to
criticised
that
every
moment?
5 minutes, I would shave my fucking head too.
It's traced back to that period of time, not specifically that moment, but that period of time when everything was
world
going
has
right,
fucking gone
going awry. But
sideways.
I read her father.
The fact we've been
her
living in a
father
world where
quit
this
for
can
medical
happen.
reasons shortly after it was in the news that he was
Bullshit.
caught shaking her child, like picking up her child and shaking him.
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
was meant to be like the figure of like the patriarch of all this thing.
You don't get to quit being a dad.
Yeah, fuck
Like,
right.
if that's your fucking
fuck
if that's your
that.
spot, you don't get to quit,
Motherfucker.
motherfucker. Just fucking
That's topical
get
in my
your shit
life.
together.
That's
Unless
topical
you're
in
a
my
good
life
PR
today.
agent, apparently.
I'll probably edit this part out, but just no. It was the first time I've used Epic edit rights, but I'll clear it with them first. But just to keep the conversation flowing, talking about you can't fucking choose not to be a dad. My wife and her brother, my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law got a Dear John letter from his dad.
Oh,
Over the weekend. He lives in Canada now. Like you can't you can't fucking opt out of being a fucking parent.
yeah, it's fucked
You
up.
cannot. Some people have done a really good job of it. Let's be honest. And some of them still wake up and say, "Hi, Dad," weirdly. But it's just strange. Anyway, it's very topical in my life, in my corner of the world, where people feel like they can.
Yeah.
Normally it was just this thing where you could slink away into the shadows and never be seen again, and that was you kind of getting out of the role of being a dad. But it was everyone was like, "You can't really though. You're just a shit cunt." Yeah. When you get to 2020, you can write your fucking son a letter and go, "By the way, bit too painful being your dad." What the fuck?
Jesus.
Life's getting
we
a
talk
bit.
about that with my uncle. Yeah, he's sort of disappeared from his kids. His kids are about 40 now, and he's
Sorry, Bloods.
He just removed himself a bit from that whole thing.
This
They
is
tried
where
to
we
reach
like
out
to
to
go.
him, and he's like, "Nah, probably not for the best." And we're like,
At least he knows. Maybe he's saving him a lot of pain.
Well, you never know, but also just an explanation would be nice.
conversation,
I don't know. I think it's pretty. Shit like that is pretty. It's symptomatic of kind of where we are. I don't know anyone who feels really grounded right now. Personally, I
It's a weird
feel
time.
it is a really weird time. It's a hell of a fucking statement for a white boy to go, "Oh, I feel really ungrounded," but. I don't know anybody, no matter what their background is, who feels like they've got roots in a fucking moment right now.
No, it's weird. And even with my day-to-day job, it's, artists are still recording, people are still listening to music. So I've kind of kept going. And I described it today to my partner as I feel like I'm in a flattened war zone on a typewriter. I'm just going, yep, I'll get right to that. And then everything around me is destroyed.
Like a scene
that's
from
it. You
MASH
just
or
have to-
something.
Yeah, and you just have to keep going.
yeah.
It's certainly the first time I've ever felt
Can I?
fuck.
One of the can I ask you a question? So you grew up in Western Sydney. Where do you boys grow up?
Western Sydney as well.
All three of you?
No,
No,
me. I
Marcus.
grew up on the Northern Beaches.
Ah, fuck you, whatever.
He's like,
That's fair.
he grew up where the teacher's pet thing
Yeah, where the-
happened.
yeah, the
so it's
teacher's
not
pet
all
podcast.
pretty there.
No, it's not all pretty there. You're more likely to get touched up by a fucking girl than a boy.
Well,
That's the Northern Beaches for me.
Yeah. Is that not the crime one? What is that one?
so what?
The teacher's pet.
In the 70s, there's this teacher at a
You
high,
weren't even
at the high school
alive!
that I fucking went to that was
Murdered his wife.
Murdered his wife and was sleeping with a student.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But his wife went missing. Get this, his wife went missing.
Yeah.
And
It's really fucked up.
And it was pretty much
This is the only dark sweater that the Northern Beaches owns, by the way, so
next
chill
day
out.
or something equally as fucked. The girlfriend moved in. The wife just disappeared and nobody knew where she was.
Not
but then the
mentioned it.
girlfriend moved in the next day.
The
It may not be the next day sounds dramatic.
That
but-
sounds like
wait
heaps
6
of
months for
fucking.
this shit.
Yeah, give it a fucking minute, bro.
Give it a mini.
So look, sorry to talk shit on Northern Beaches and
Go ahead.
Colour.
That's why I moved to the fucking inner
It is
west.
a
in
beautiful-
19.
Well,
But it is a
actually,
beautiful
this
part
is
of
a
the world.
two-part question, and I'll answer it, and then I'll do the second part real quick. So first of all,
Sorry,
you grew
you
up
said
in
you'd ask a
Western
question and then
Sydney,
answer it.
which is obviously a huge fucking part of your life and influenced a whole range of things. I want to know how you feel like Western Sydney's changed in the last since you moved out, and then the second part is I can't help but notice the fact that the mighty Golden Fang was your first EP.
Yeah.
And the Golden Fang, for the people who don't know, is our next door neighbour here at the Lansdowne Hotel. So I just am interested in when you moved to the Inner West, obviously where this became a part of your life, and just exploring that whole period, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think. What was the first part again?
First part was like you grew up in Western Sydney, and how
How did
it's
that
changed.
Oh yeah, I mean, growing
has.
up, because I grew up sort of near Mount Druitt, which was pretty rough and like violent, I guess. Like I feel like it was. Well, I don't think it's nearly as bad now because my parents still live out
A lot
there.
of developments, right?
Yeah, so it feels a bit more part of the city almost. So it felt really unsafe to me. But I guess getting older as well, you're not as much of a target. But I felt like walking around there as a school kid was like you literally wouldn't know if someone would want to beat the shit out of you. Basically, yeah. It was. I mean, I don't think it was like that every day, but it definitely was pretty bad. Yeah, like.
I find that I grew up in a small town in Scotland. It wasn't that bad, but it was. I was thinking about that recently. That idea of when I was like 18, 19, 20, whatever. If you were a youth walking around town, and it was a group of youths, you would always be like, they might just come
gang of youths.
Well, no, they might just come and beat the shit at me. Very different.
Thank you.
But it's like, yeah, they might just come and beat the shit at me or try or harass me to some degree. Like being older, you hope it doesn't exist. Then I went in to go back to my hometown at one point, and they'd be like, "Okay, think you're too fucking good for Australia. You're too fucking good for Scotland."
For the whole country.
Yeah, dude, and I'll just run
Fuck.
to the airport.
I'm out.
Oh, I love Scotland though.
Yeah, well,
Very much.
I don't know.
I literally do.
I don't know if
so much.
where I grew up has changed that much, to be honest. Still the same shitty roads. Like, can you fix them, please? City of Sydney, Riverwood. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a message.
But-
By the way, it's
They've
also
got
not City of Sydney.
No, it's not. City, it's City Canterbury. I think it's Canterbury. Maybe Bankstown or Punchbowl. It's going to be one of them.
Whatever, doggies.
Whoever it is.
It's Doggies World. Go the Bulldogs.
But there is like a new kind of club, like Riverwood Club now, right near my parents' house, where they've got like a bistro. So that's changed.
That's changed. And so, growing up there, why the fucking move? So I suppose the second part of my question was kind of why and when and why the move to the Inner West, because the Golden Fang is a mighty bastion to the people who fucking specifically know it.
Yeah. Well, why would we stay where we grew up? But you come to the Inner West because that's where your people are, right? Like when we were.
Did you feel that? Like,
yeah, definitely.
Well, I think I first went to I'd go to Parramatta because that was where Mosh was like a clothing shop.
Yeah.
There, and it was that's where all the rad clothes were in the 90s.
What was it? Was the
early 2000s?
The CD shop like Sanity and
HMV.
Yeah.
Brushes.
But I used to hang out at CD stores.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
100%.
And you'd
gone as
actually
well.
listen to an album on the
Yeah, I'd hang
the
out at
headphones,
HMV.
'cause
Yeah,
it
and
was like, that was
walk
how
up and
you-
go, hey
Number
guys,
two, I'm security guys like, come on, son.
hey guys, do you have insert weird Leonard Cohen album by Leonard Cohen? And they go, sorry, what? Because they don't give a fuck or know what.
Substitute
what you're
E17 for Leonard Cohen very quickly.
But I remember going to the places where I grew up and asking for the most because I was trying to find those people, and then obviously you guys are you found your people somewhere around Golden Fang.
Well, we were playing in bands like in the early 2000s together, and at that point we were in our early 20s, so we'd kind of moved here and going to places like the Hopeton and then going to Vegas Bar and to the Blue Room where they had Death Disco and to Candy's apartment.
Death Disco?
Yeah.
Was that a thing?
That was a thing. It was
taking that
really
name
fun.
back.
Yeah. Make it come back. It was sick. It was really sick.
Don't tell the people. I hope the people who put that on are dead. I hope, not because I wish them ill. I just hope that they can't.
We're going to get a DM.
I'm going to start the death.
Apparently, cease and desist exist in DMs now. it's no longer a legal letter. They just have to text you.
DM.
Yeah. That's only a DM. Cease and desist. No. Doesn't work like that, you dickhead.
Get a lawyer, fuckhead.
Have you gotten them on DM? Is that
Oh, it was
giving them over
we got
DM,
it was a
though.
Facebook comment.
No.
It was a Facebook comment. Cease and desist on something quite recently. And we're just like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not-
We're good.
That's not a real thing.
I think I like we're partnering with FBI on like a little series of videos for with FBI. And someone was like, check out the real whatever it is. And like I was just like, chill out, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking
The video
video's
from,
got like fucking
8 years ago that had like 100 views. And they're
Yeah,
just like,
chill
we have
out.
this name for us. And it's a name that is
And they're friends of
very
ours,
commonly
but
used
fuck 'em.
in many aspects of life. It is like, there's no way you own this. Like, no way.
Anyway, one of the 16 people who sees it are going to see it's Lock-In. We'll see the link to Lock-In, but the reality is like, go look at the original Lock-In. You haven't posted for 2 years. It's like, why are you noising us up for fucking doing some now? It's just weird.
noising us up? I like
It's just, it's really strange. The world's strange. Like, we own that. It's like, you certainly do not. You certainly do not own those two words when they're placed together in English, you
Nice
fucking
try.
idiots.
Yeah. We'll just add an extra N onto it. It's fine. We're right.
Yeah, make it doubly as good.
Sorted.
So back to the Golden Fang.
Yep.
So I'm going to assume something here. I'm going to assume that the Golden Fang held some sort of importance to you because of the importance of this venue.
It did.
Is that a fair? Is that something?
We ate there when we'd been to shows here.
Yeah,
or
cool.
played here or whatever. Yeah.
And just for the listeners or viewers, whoever, like, just to say, like, this isn't a big up of Kenny and I. Like, this was like 8 years before. No, not 8. 6 years before we owned it. Like, the EP came in 2013.
2014, I think.
2014, yeah.
So we took it over in 2017 or something like. But it'd been closed. But the point is the fact that this venue, like we speak about, we're custodians of the of the Lansdowne. We don't really own it, like in that sense. Like, we're like at some point it's going to slip out of our fingers through hopefully fucking drug abuse and
Something exciting.
something worthwhile. But it'll no longer be ours, right? But it'll continue on, hopefully not in the hands of a developer, but in the hands of people who care about music. And it's pre-us is the point.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just sorry to jump in, because I wasn't
no,
around
no.
Bloods in the Golden Fang era.
Can you
but-
just be quiet, please?
Fuck all y'all. No, but I mean, back when in the early 2000s, like 2003, 2004, like, we used to put shows on here.
Yeah.
In the previous state, like me and a group of friends, like we were putting records out for our friends, and we were just trying to kind of do something.
Like, as in
towards the
nights with like
community.
multiple bands playing.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
we'd put shows on, have bands
Right.
play. We were,
Fucking means so
trying
much.
to press records for our friends, CDs, because no one was doing vinyl at that time because people were fucking idiots.
Just
But
doing mini discs. Get a mini disc at a merch stand.
fucking, yeah, man.
Hey,
No.
Kenny.
Yeah.
Zang, motherfucker.
And one of those,
Well played.
one of those hyper color t-shirts that change color when they heat up. That's a match.
That was all we did that was branded, man. It was fucking, no.
I'm in.
But yeah, I mean, it is a fucking institution. So, and it's great to see it back in
thank God you guys
proper business,
Yeah, thank God for us. I agree. Thank God for
No,
us.
Awesome Stage didn't exist either. Like the upstairs, I mean.
Well,
did,
yeah,
but
it was
wasn't
the world's
utilised.
worst bistro, correct? And now,
Yeah.
and now it's the best band room in Sydney.
Said it
I've
my
had
friend
many
tonight.
And the
Yeah.
best fucking, may I say, the
My
best
friend
green
tonight, like,
room in
no one's
the
ever
country.
played on the stage. The Lansdowne so infamous, famous, all of these words for live music.
Popular?
And its current status. But that stage is brand new.
Yeah.
But it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter as long as it's under the roof. It doesn't like it is what it is, and it's and the people coming back and the community that built it and still continue to build it to this day. There's a photographer currently sort of piecing a book together on the history of the land, like nothing to do with us, who just someone who loves it and sees it as a stalwart of sort of Sydney live music culture and thinks it should be represented in picture and art form.
She's got some, especially this wall, the piss wall. Yeah. Hey, I got one last, like, kind of not scripted question, but again, sorry to fucking script it directly at MC, but you know, I hope
I am the coolest member. So.
Well, yeah, and then a group full of fucking like 35, 40-year-olds, something white boys. Right or maybe it's a perspective that we can't just come up with in our own fucking brain.
I'll take this.
Well, would you, if you wouldn't mind, really interested.
Loaded it. We can't hear you.
Is it directly into the microphone?
Yeah. Just on it.
Put your mouth around it.
Talk on it.
Like this.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You know, in Holland, they did that 4 times.
We spoke a little bit earlier, like, and we kind of touched around the point. Well, we spoke about it, but about what the music industry is like, seeing it from both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
And you've been in the industry for a long period of time now.
Yeah.
In relative terms, especially for, and to speak frankly, for a woman.
Yeah.
Because, and you're a woman who's had a child.
Yeah.
So, and there's been a history of when women have children, they fucking bow out of the workforce.
Yeah.
So, like, there's no point fucking pussyfooting around. This is the reality of not just your life or in our industry, but through that this is the cut through and the major story of a lot of people in a lot of the industries. And you've that's not been your story. But and for that reason, I'm really interested in how it has changed. The positive stories about how it's changed, and then for you to just kind of give us an update on where we need to kind of go.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that cool?
Yeah,
Sorry,
no,
it's a heavy fucking last question, but
okay.
like I don't want to fuck
how
around
it's
here.
changed. I think I think there's an expectation when women, just as women, it's really hard to have your voice heard a lot of the time, you know, like it is an absolute sausage fest a lot of the time in a boardroom, and sometimes you'll say something and they won't hear it, and somebody next to you who has a dick says the same thing, and everyone's like, that's a fucking great idea, and you're like, oh my fucking God, are you actually serious? I just said that, but it doesn't matter. You just have to be defiant. I think women who really have stuck it out and have trailblazed are the ones who are defiant. Like, I know that I'm like, if somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm like, you fucking watch me do that, bitch. That's my attitude, and I think you kind of need a little bit of that to really to have broken through a little bit. Up until this point, I think people now are becoming so much more aware of just how tilted the scale is towards men in the business. So they're becoming more aware and kind of going, oh yeah, you're right. Like, we could actually have some women in the room. That
to its
wouldn't be
fucking
bad.
detriment.
Oh yeah, like, why don't we let her do this job? Or, you know, like, kind of, you know, and women prove that they're capable every day at what they do. So it's just like, I think the awareness helps people give them a go, and that's great. But, you know, it's not been easy because I think especially women who have children, there is an absolute expectation that then becomes their life. And I wrote a line in the song Girls Are Just Fucking Cool Like That about that specifically, because when I found out I was pregnant, it was at a really exciting time for our band, and we had a record deal, and you know, we were just about to put out Golden Fang. We hadn't even put it out at that point. That's how early on in Bloods I got pregnant, and we were. There was on the table there was a question of we'd been invited by Kate Nash to tour Europe with her in the UK, and you know those things don't kind of come along, and there was just a lot of vibe, and I found out I was pregnant. I was like, I probably won't be able to do that tour because I'll be 8.5 months pregnant. And I remember going to a dinner with the band, and the head of the record label said to me, "So I get." It was not Sub Pop. They're angels who are great.
Shoo.
Another person. So like he said to me, so I guess that's it for the band then. And I was like, what? And he's like, well, you know, you're having a baby, so the band's over now, I guess. So just this EP and then it'll be done. And I'll be like, and I was like, dude, no, like I'm still me. Like I'm a person with feelings and dreams and aspirations and I remember just thinking like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And it's incredible how many times like it's just little things I think that can get that society doesn't realize that they do. Like when I would be out for work or whatever, or if I was just out or at a show or whatever, the first question a lot of men would ask me was like, oh, so where's your daughter tonight? Who's got your daughter? Who's minding your daughter? And it's like, do you ever ask that of a man who walks into a room?
Or say that when a guy goes, oh, my partner's pregnant, like 3 months before the EP comes out, no one's ever going to go, oh, so that's it then for the band. It's like, well, no, like, yeah, like you have to stop. Like, of course. It's
like, let's do another line of Coke and...
Yeah. Like,
who's got the Coke? You fuckers holding out on us. We're drug addicts. I am. I can't speak to Kenny.
Oh, I know where to come.
I know Kenny real well. He's on the fucking knife edge most of the time. I'm fucking deep in addiction.
So yeah, I mean, I think it is getting better because we're talking about this shit now.
But have you seen? And sorry to interrupt, but have you seen it change? And because it's a two-part question. Have you seen it change? How much do we need to fucking continue the change? Like, how far do we have to go? Because I get a sense that we've got a way to go, but it's difficult for someone who's as invested as I am, but also I hope I count myself on the right side of history. I've got my fucking, and I feel like we've got some of our markers set on the right side of history. We're battling towards that, but it's also really important to get a gauge from the real sense of like how far do we have to go, but also through the lens of we've come a long way, baby. We're like, nah, we fucking haven't touched the fucking sides.
I think we haven't touched the sides. I think the world's kind of fucked, and it's just because of the way, you know, history's played out and history's written. You know, like I'm obviously not white, so I'm a brown, like a woman of color in an industry surrounded by white men and in a country that is skewed towards preferential treatment to white men. So I'm very aware because I can't not be aware. And I can say, you know, it's awesome. I think the conversations that are happening are so important because they're happening all over the place. Like they're happening about women's rights, and they're happening about, you know, obviously Black Lives Matter is hugely important, probably the most important conversation happening right now. But I think it's just really important for people just to be aware of the world that we live in and call shit out and actively not just get comfortable, like be uncomfortable, like accept that the world is a little bit shit, but we're trying to make it better. Yeah. And we can make it better, but we need to not get lazy and just go, it's too hard, or there's just so many things, because there is a lot of things, but you can just do little things in your everyday life, like actively choose to not watch Friends for the 10th time and watch a movie about people of color, you know, things like that. Like,
I think it's a huge,
you know, just little things you can do in your daily life that will make you, then, you know, and it's not like you're missing out on anything. You're actually exploring really interesting shit.
Exactly. You come out the other side feeling really, I don't know, in some way, just that you haven't wasted your fucking entire afternoon. I read this.
Your fucking entire life.
I read this like tweet today as I was shared with someone. Twitter's not really an Australian. We talk about this. Twitter's not really an Australian thing, but it's obviously out there and it's huge in other countries.
I think the only Australians who like Twitter are people who really deeply hate themselves.
Yeah, well, but
they fucking hate themselves so much they're willing to fucking take the American version of it too.
was fairly global. It was one thing I read. It was like they were like it's strange to think they were in the 20s because you think of the 20s as an historic period of time when like world leaders were arguing with each other. We were close.
Yeah,
to,
what else happened in the 20s?
War. Like women were still fighting for rights. Like so there's a huge gender imbalance, and we're on the brink of a like financial disaster.
Yeah.
And it's like the point being, it's like it's exactly where we are. We are 100 years on. We are no different because no one makes those tiny little changes.
I agree, but I also disagree with the certain things. I do disagree with the I don't disagree with the reality of the superstructure, but the substructure that exists is support. So, for example, the catastrophic pain that a Great Depression will cause to Western countries won't be the same because of mass farming, for example. So hunger won't be an issue that plays into a Great Depression. So a depression can be played into certain like economic rationales. Or, a recession is two fucking.
There's the industries go like this, and the industries go like this.
Yeah, but hunger won't come into it in the way that it did for the Great Depression of the 1930s. Hunger won't
delivery.
No, well, because of mass farming, we didn't have like horrible factory farming. Whereas we're all sitting around. I'm sitting around going, let's just shop at Harris Farms. Let me tell you, motherfucker, shit goes up against the wall. I'm buying those fucking farm chickens and those farmed eggs if it means the difference between my kids getting fed or not. We're still getting a choice, and we're like into the Great Recession. In the when it was on the tipping point of Great Depression, people were still like, they're like, can I get the rabbit? So things have changed, but also the more things change, the more what I couldn't agree with more is the more things change, the more they stay the fucking same. We're still dealing with exactly the same issues.
Exactly
the same. The exact same issues of exclusion and people's voices not being heard.
And the pressures have changed in terms of expectation of you, and that the weight that weighs on you mentally and emotionally. I don't know. It's a different world now. It's a hard world. I find it weird when older generations say like, "Look how much you fucked this world up." Whatever. It's like you cunts were dropping nuclear bombs on each other. It's like, dude, maybe we're doing okay, but it's like, but we have introduced a pile of static that just interferes with your brain. And that's the shittest thing about it.
Like 5G. Is that a 5G reference?
Yeah.
I'm
that's
with
exactly
you,
what I'm
sir.
talking about.
I thought we were doing a pretty good job of us getting the race conversation. Let's get in there, Huawei. Let's get in there, Huawei. Hey, listen, Bloods. It's been a fucking Oh fuck. Let's get to the harder 5G. No, it's not. Bloods. It's been a great joy to speak to you guys tonight. It's been a great joy to have you play the stage. We'll have you back anytime. We think the world of you all, and thanks so much for spending any time at all with us. Let alone the fucking hour and fucking 10 minutes. It must have felt like 4 days for you.
I love this.
I don't remember not being here.
You've got your sub pop.
Turns out memory's not a prerequisite of fucking enjoying your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Anytime, my friends. Love you.
Thank you so much.